Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the channel. Leo here, and I will be your hillbilly host today for a wild little ride. I am in Williamson, West Virginia at the old Williamson Memorial Hospital. That is the building that I was actually born in. Didn't really go very far, did I? Heather said I kind of rolled off the hill and just set up housekeeping. Anyway, we're not really here for the hospital today. What we're here for is right over here. This commanding view of downtown Williamson is what we're here for today. And I am wearing my Williamson shirt today, so you know, thought I'd throw that out there. We have, like I said, we have a little bit of a wild story for you guys today. Yeah, from yesteryear, the pretty town that you see, the polite society here, obviously, you know, this is all new. This is all new. There was a world here before this, and we have a story today that will probably surprise, if not shock, most of Williamson's, my fellow residents here. This is, like I said, this is my hometown, and the railroad tracks will go right down through there, just on the other side of that tall building, right there. I just wanted to point that out real quick, because back on August 14th of 1914, a Norfolk and Western train arrived at nearby Glen Alum Station here in Mingo County, setting in motion a series of events that would claim the lives of 10 men. It brought a payroll of $7,000 for the Glen Alum Coal Company, sent from a bank in Lynchburg, Virginia. This innocent delivery kicked off one of West Virginia's darkest crime stories. The cash was moved from the train to a little handcar powered by gasoline for a ride to the coal company offices just a few miles away. There were 3 men on board: Dr. W.D. Amick, the company doctor, F.D. Johnson, the bookkeeper, and Joseph Schuyler, the electrician running the car. Midway, they encountered a blockade of logs and railroad ties on the track. As they stopped to clear it, they were ambushed by gunfire from hidden bandits from all different angles. Now, personally, I don't see me falling for that when I am way much more suspicious than that. I think if I were to see something like that on the road, knowing I've got the payroll with me, hey guys, this is an ambush, they're going to kill us. So yes, let's all jump out and move this stuff. Yeah, let's all jump out and start moving all this junk on the tracks, because this is obviously an ambush and they're going to kill us for this payroll. Anyway, all 3 men were shot while trying to move the debris, collapsing in a hail of bullets. The criminals grabbed the money and took off. Back at the mine, officials became worried when the handcar didn't show up, and an office worker called the station and was told that the handcar had indeed left on time. Shortly after, a teamster delivering supplies rushed into the office, claiming he had found the handcar with its passengers, 2 dead and 1 barely alive. News of the murder and robbery quickly reached Sheriff Greenway Hatfield's office here in Williamson, West Virginia. He was the nephew of famous Devil Anse Hatfield, the son of Devilance's brother, Elias. He soon arrived on the scene with a heavily armed posse, traveling on a special train. What happened next was an extensive manhunt. Initially, the posse had around 25 to 50 men, but as word spread, many of the workers from the mines and local sawmills dropped their work. They grabbed their guns and joined in on the search, swelling the posse to hundreds of people. Law officers of all kinds were involved. They brought in the Baldwin Felts operatives, the detectives, N&W special agents, railroad police, town police, constables from Williamson to Bluefield, joined in what was to become the biggest manhunt in local history. The search for the bandits started that Friday in the second week of August and would come to a very dramatic and very public end on a Sunday morning. Naturally, the first thought was that the crime had been done by desperate locals. But dawn of the second day revealed to Sheriff Hatfield and his men that the bandits had crossed over the mountains into Bend Creek. There were tracks near the home of Jim Redbush Hatfield. There were numerous footprints showing where the bandits had climbed down a steep slope, getting down into Bend Creek. From there, the bandits made their way to the Cold Springs Fork of Bend Creek, which also had a few witnesses who spotted them there too. Anyway, they tracked the outlaws to their rocky little hideout spot, a place called Shanty Hollow, and a wild shootout broke out with over 1,000 shots fired back and forth. The posse lost 3 members and had 2 others wounded. As the standoff continued, dynamite was brought in and used in a failed attempt to flush out the desperate thieves. Finally, early on the morning of August 16th, the posse stormed the outlaws' hiding place. They found 4 of the bandits dead and the 5th one dying. All 5 of them appeared to be strangers and appeared to be Italian. Now, there were rumors that suggested at the time that they might be part of what was known as the Black Hand. It was a secretive group of basically Italian gangsters that were operating in the area at the time. Now, the 4 bandits are said by, the articles to have been, quote, small in stature and Italian. It was presumed at the time that they couldn't have been long away from their native country and may even be new to America in general. But behind the plot, there was a mastermind. Somebody who knew the payroll would arrive on that day for certain and on that particular train. In underworld slang, the job had been cased. The bandits chose the route that offered the least chance of escape. But remaining in the mountains and crossing them from creek to creek was very time-consuming, and their progress was slow. In the months that followed, efforts were made to identify the bandits. An investigation conducted by a well-known detective agency also failed. The posse recovered most of the stolen $7,000 and only $20 was missing. The bullet-riddled bodies of the bandits were brought by train to the Williamson station, where they were laid out in pine coffins in the morgue of the late M.T. Ball, who was a pioneer mortician in the area. Thousands of curious people gawked at the bullet-ridden bodies. Bodies as an obvious example for everyone to see of what happens to train robbers. All four were buried together in a mass unmarked grave. Greenway Hatfield, the son of Elias Hatfield and Betty Chafin, was sheriff 3 times before dying of 74 of diabetes and heart failure. Now there's a famous picture from this event that was taken right here in Williamson. So as usual, I'm going to take you guys from here and I'm going to show you some of these places, and we're going to tell you a little bit of the history behind this story. So like I said, guys, when I told you at the beginning it's going to be a wild story, so there you go. Just in case anybody's curious, yes, I did stand here and wait for the train so that the timing would be just right on it. Yes, I did do that. Didn't take long. There's always a train through town. Let me get across the street here, and I have something I want to show you guys. Just look at all this. I was just thinking as I was sitting there, just look at all the polite society, right? Fire department, city police. How you doing? This is now, well, you got, like I said, the fire department over here, the city police here, you know, just nice. There's that tall building that I mentioned is right on the other side of this one. There's the railroad tracks. This one here is what I wanted to mention though. See, this right now is the mayor's office, city hall, right? Wasn't always that. Back in 1914, this was that train station that I just mentioned, where the bodies were brought to on the train. This is the spot where they brought the bodies into town, right there. Cool looking old building, isn't it? But this is still yet, the railroad still owns some of it. They kept the back end of it up here, the small building. And they have, remember the railroad police that I mentioned that got involved in the search? This is N&W's police office, which just coincidentally is right across the street from the Williamson Police Department, which was also involved in this search. But right there is the building. That is the old train station where the bodies were brought to. But I guess it's different times. Like I said, you know, it's just a completely different time. It was a different world, you know. But anyway, there is a couple other spots that I want to show you. The exact spot where those bodies were actually displayed is just a couple blocks from here. So we're going to head over there next. And I have one more place as well that I want to show you guys where we'll end our day. Okay, I waited for the train to pass that time. I'm standing in the gates of the flood wall down here in Williamson on East 3rd Avenue. And right over here is the water department, the water plant. I remember when all this was built, and we used to play in this little creek right here. I can remember playing in this creek when I was a kid. We'd come in from the other side with little flashlights and go through the tunnel and play in the tunnel in the creek. Didn't know. Imagine that. Didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, do you? This right here, guys, is the spot. All of this has been changed over the decades, but this right here is 11 East 3rd Avenue in Williamson, West Virginia. This is the spot where the M.T. Ball Funeral Home was built in 1903. And this is the spot where the 4 bodies of 4 desperate train robbers and murderers were displayed for everyone to see. Okay, we'll let him go. There's a tire shop next door. Let's see, DMV, DHHR, State Police on the other side. Kind of ironic though, isn't it? You know, the whole kind of puts you in the mind of Vlad the Impaler. Or is it just me? You know how Vlad would take his victims and put them up on, you know, he would impale them and put them up on spikes so that all of his enemies, all of the people that he considered to be criminals, lowlives, whatever, despicable enemies, could see what happens to people who cross him. It was the time of the Iron Horse too. You know, trains were the thing. Not only robbing, you know, murdering the people, but also the trains. Like I said, the trains, they had their own police force and everything. Anyway, we have one more spot, and we wanted to come down here and make sure that we came by this spot, because I don't know how many of Williamson's residents have seen this old picture and, you know, knew that it was in Williamson and knew where it was, but now you do. Vincent Street's right here, 3rd Avenue, Water Department, M.T. Ball Funeral Home. This is the spot where it happened. Now we have, man, that's a big phone pole. Good Lord. I didn't even notice that. We have one more stop to go to. Not far from here. You remember I mentioned Sheriff Greenway Hatfield. And this right here is where our story brings us today. To the final stop in our little, the final stop in Greenway Hatfield's story. And it's a pretty day, even if it's not that warm. High 40s, something like that. It's pretty. Clouds. Makes a pretty contrast, doesn't it? That's a pretty picture. It sure would be. But where we're going is right down here. Right down to this little walkway. Right there. And here they are. The Hatfield family. Now, Wayne Hatfield, right here, okay, shot by a 16-year-old in an argument. Now, this is Elizabeth Betty, everybody called her Betty, Elizabeth Betty Chafin. This was Greenway's mom. This is Devil Ance's wife, Levice's sister. Devil Ance and his brother married sisters. Levice and Elizabeth here were the two sisters that Devil Ance, and so this is Devil Ance's sister-in-law right here. Now, Elias Hatfield right here right there. This is Greenway's dad, Devil Ance's brother. And where is, here he is. Here he is. This is the one we came for right here. This is the grave right here of Sheriff Greenway Hatfield. Right there. It's quite an amazing old story, isn't it? Some real old west Americana train robberies and desperate criminals and the lawmen who bring them to justice. Such a pretty place though, isn't it? Very pretty place. Rest well. Well, guys, I guess this ends our little tale and our little adventure as well. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed our little story. Hope you enjoyed our little tale and some of the pretty scenery here in southern West Virginia. Spring is upon us, y'all. It won't be long. Anyway, you guys, y'all have a really good day, and we will see y'all next time on the Hillbilly Files. Leo out.